Good morning. It is 6:39 a.m. January the 1st, 2021. Happy New Year to my buddies. It's early and I've had about 90 minutes sleep in the last 14 hours. I don't know. I had trouble getting back onto the day shift's sleep schedule because I was so tired when I got off on early 6 a.m. Thursday, which was yesterday. I went home and I in a frenzy, put up my Snoopy Christmas ornaments and moved some stuff around because I'm getting ready for a pretty big project at my house to be disclosed soon. And in order to do it, I have
In a quarter mile, use the right lane to take the I-10 West ramp.
I thought I turned Garmina off. Looks like I haven't. But in order to get this project not even started, but to explore to see if it can be done, there's like 100 things I have to do. I have to move out a complete room and have...
Use the right lane to take the I-10 West ramp.
...absorbed in other places in the house to never go back in that room again. I'm not going to have an office anymore.
In 1,000 feet, slight left.
Short future, I'm going to have a desk with my office supplies in it that kind of have a hutch to close it up, and it'll just look like a pretty armoire, but it'll be a hidden office. And so, I'm down
slight left.
A lot of my office supplies that I really don't need, and some art supplies and stuff like that.
In a quarter mile, keep left at the fork to continue toward East Freeway Service Road, I-10 Service Road.
To do the project that I want to do, at the very least, I will have determined that I don't
keep left at the fork.
All that stuff back in that room, and I can then instead turn it into a true guest bedroom, which is what I've always wanted it to be. So anyway, because I was up a little bit later than I should have been yesterday in a frenzy trying to get stuff done, I laid down and I was so exhausted. Instead of sleeping my planned 3 hours and then
keep right, then use the left lane to take the I-10 ramp.
I slept like 5 hours, and when I got up and made a little dinner and I did a lot of stuff, I was up. I was on the night schedule. I could not go to sleep. I intended to take a sleeping aid, but I forgot. And by the time I remembered, it was 2 a.m. It was 2 a.m.
Use the left lane to take the I-10 ramp, then merge onto I-10 East.
I'm going to stop talking in just a second for about 280 miles. In just a moment, she's going to stop interrupticating. Let me merge onto this freeway, highway, whatever, and turn the heater down because it's starting to feel real nice.
Continue on I-10 East for 51 miles.
Okay, so next thing I realized it was 2 a.m. and it was too late to take a sleep aid, because if I had at that time, I would have never got up. I would have been in a coma. So I'm laying in bed wide awake, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and I'm like, I might as well get up and go. I'm on my way to Louisiana to see my dear, dear friends. I'm going to spend a couple days with them. I'm so excited. I usually go around Christmas time, and it just worked out that I'm getting there after Christmas. And I'm on my way with very little sleep, so I'm hoping to get as many miles under me as I can. Maybe I'll need to pull over in a police station somewhere safe and take like an hour nap. But regardless, when I do get to their home, I'm going to have to take an hour nap, and then tonight take a sleep aid to get back on my sleep schedule, because we don't really have a lot planned to do today but visiting, and I think I'm helping them do stuff in their house. They're doing something with their house as well. But anyway, I thought today is a good time for a story time. I mentioned this person in another story time, and I mentioned about the grandest hail and farewell of all time, and how this guy became a huge baby about it. So, backstory. I worked with this guy. I don't think he was an engineer. He might have been a project manager, or maybe, I think he was like, I don't know how to explain it. I think he was like engineer light. I don't know, but he was an engineer, and he was a nice enough guy, but he was just that guy that was a little petty, a little annoying. One day, our commander offered my services out to all the project engineers and said, if you're falling behind on entering stuff into the QA QR system, Sarah will help you. And so this guy jumped on that. And the system that we used, it was the CFM system, Corps of Engineers Financial Management System. I think that's what it was. It was pretty easy enough to enter this QA QR stuff, quality assurance, quality reporting, something like that. It was pretty easy enough. It was just getting into the system and then getting to the stuff that was kind of a pain. It was kind of a process to get into it, to get to where you wanted to be. So keep in mind, this guy gave me a ton of reports to put in. It's like he leaped on that and was going to use me to help him make up for his shortcomings. And I was okay with doing that. I was always willing to help, not a big deal. And this is the crazy thing. As difficult as it was to get into that system, this guy did not have time to get into it and do his job, but he had time to log into it multiple times a day to see how much I'd done. And then he'd come around and make a comment about how much I've done or how little I've done or how he would have done it differently. So that was the level of petty that we're dealing with. He didn't have time to enter his reports, but he had time to log into that multifaceted layer after layer of getting into the system to check and see how much I'd done. So it was just, that was what we're dealing with. Something else that he did that was absolutely nuts was he received information from the field from our Iraqi engineers. And these Iraqi engineers were constantly pleading with him to give them special favors because they love to show off to their Iraqi friends that they were helping the Americans and how important they were. But at the same time, they were pleading for these special favors that, which according to them, could get them killed. And it was true. It was very true that there were a lot of Iraqis that were caught aiding the Americans and they were killed. It was very, very true. So keep this in mind when they kept asking this guy to give them identification cards saying they were with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and they should be able to go through roadblocks and check and checkpoints with just the ease and go ahead of the line and be super important. But at the same time, people were getting killed if they had any association. Plus, they were asking for permission to carry a weapon. So, imagine if the U.S. Army gave Iraqis weapons to protect themselves while working for the Americans. Imagine what would have happened had they lost the weapon, negligent discharge, used it on somebody, used it on us. It was just no go. Wasn't going to happen. So this guy was constantly pestering the commander, constantly, because he wanted to be these Iraqi engineers' hero. He wanted to be the guy that got them these identity cards and gave them permission. He wanted to be the guy, their savior. He wanted to help them. So it came to a head in a staff meeting where the entire compound was having a meeting. I can't even remember. I think it was about an upcoming. I'm turning my phone around so that cars going past me don't think I'm watching TV on my phone while I'm driving. But we were having this meeting that involved everybody across the board. The entire compound was in the conference room having a meeting, and he decided that was the time to finalize the point and say, what do I tell these guys? And that's when our commander kind of lost it. He said, no means no. Well, this guy had a little mini tantrum. It was hilarious. While sitting in his chair, he stomped his foot and he slouched down in his chair and he folded his arms across his chest, and it was just like a child pouting. So this is what we were dealing with, okay? Just to lay the backstory. So fast forward, our deputy, who was at the time, she was a major, she was getting ready for her hail and farewell. So when there was a hail and farewell, everybody donated for the going away gift. I would take the collection. I would go down to the shops, and I would go online and buy Engineer Castle flags, and I would have them in supply in preparation for upcoming hail and farewells. And I would have them on supply. So when it came time for someone to go, I would take up a collection, and depending on the amount donated, depended on the grandeur of the embroidery and patches and everything that was put on this flag. So here's another level of petty. Depending on how much the person was liked or disliked, depended on how much money was collected. So this woman was absolutely adored. So we had so much money collected. We had money left over to get not only this flag that was embroidered with her name, her jobs, her duty station, the flags of all the coalition, the patches, was sewn onto this flag. We also had money left over. And so we're like, while you are, when you're in Dahuk, which is the north part of Iraq in Kurdistan, when you're out in the field, I think we told the security guards, we gave them the money, and we said, while y'all are out and you're able to go into a store, use this money to find something, a gift, dessert, or whatever, anything, because we had all this money left over. Well, at the same time, because this lady was so well known and so many people liked her, she was going out with a bang, and she decided she was going to pay for her own hail and farewell. Let me say, this hail and farewell was the biggest one I'd ever been to. It was bigger than when the commanding general came. I can't remember his name. What was his name? It was bigger because at the time she was dating a helicopter pilot. And so all the Black Hawk pilots were there. All the surgeons from the Combat Support Hospital was there. It was a ton of people there. USAID was there. Dynacorps was there. Just a crazy amount of people. So keeping in mind the amount of people, she wanted it to be such a good deal. She said, I'm going to pay for this. So she gave the security team a lot of money. And when they were in town, they bought a pig. Brought it back, and the life support contractors barbecued this pig. It was huge, okay? We had a barbecue. It was absolutely huge. We had tons of food, more than enough food, and this woman paid for it. And plus, she had these wonderful gifts that was given to her from all the money that was collected. So, every time there was a hail and farewell, based on how much money was collected, determined the type of food. So if a lot was presented, we could buy really nice food. If it was a high-ranking person, we could requisition the food from Class 1 or from the dining facility. If it was somebody who was just there for a short period of time and nobody really knew them, or just weird circumstances, not a lot of money was collected, we managed to do something. We would figure something out. Well, when it was time for this guy, when it was time for him to go home, I got $12 collected. 12. So I'm not telling you my personal feelings about this guy, the amount of money collected tells you the personal feelings of about 60 people. $12. It was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. And so now it was left to me, the administrative assistant, to come up with some sort of hail and farewell that was befitting. And keeping in mind, just a few weeks before this, we had a freaking barbecue with a pig and potato salads and onion salads and macaroni salads and salad salads. So I was in a really very tough place. So I had to find a way to try and make this a fun thing and have food that we got for free from the class 1. So I tried to make it fun by saying we're going to have a barbecue and we're going to barbecue hot dogs and we're going to put weenies on sticks and we're going to cook them on a fire and we're going to put on and we're going to have chili and cheese. And so I was doing the best I could to make it as nice as I could for this guy that nobody could stand. So I did a lot of work getting it together. I managed to talk the Turkish life support contractors, the janitors, in other words. I managed to coerce them into making the fire and cooking the food and even letting them join in, which they were thrilled and all that. And after I was and I had to use my own money I had to purchase his flag, and I had to use my own money to get the embroidery and all the patches put on it, because his very own coworkers that was in the same office with him gave me $12. $12. That's all. Not even the command staff. It was embarrassing going around asking people to donate to this guy. It was embarrassing. I was constantly going around with my Kevlar asking them to put something in there and nobody would. I mean, it was awkward. So after going through all this, imagine my anger to walk up behind this guy and overhear him say, Sarah cares so little for me, all I get to have is hot dogs for my going away. Yeah, he was butthurt over it. He was butthurt over it. And he went to the command staff and said that I would only let him have hot dogs. That it was me, that I chose it, and it was up to me, and I was all powerful, and I determined that he was only worthy of hot dogs. So even though that was just I told my boss, I told him exactly why he was getting hot dogs, and he understood, and he agreed with me, and he was like, I understand, you're doing what you can do, you're doing what you're supposed to do, I understand. I don't know if he ever told this guy. I don't know. I really don't. But I think, if I remember correctly, I think I managed to get a few steaks from the dining facility. I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm thinking everybody had hot dogs, but this crybaby had a steak. I think something like that went down. I think this was 2006. It was a long time ago. So even though he was a jerk about it and put it on me and made me to be the bad guy, I didn't say a word. I didn't even defend myself. I didn't even say a word. So fast forward 2-3 years later, I'm back in Kuwait doing the RSOI job again. I think I was finishing out my 4 years in Mosul, and I had like 3 or 4 months to go, and they asked me to just finish it in in Kuwait, because they were down people, and I had pretty much started that with Ziad, and so I knew how to do it, and I was familiar with it. So it was almost like a gift letting me finish out my 4 years, letting me finish it in Kuwait. It was almost a gift because, I could sleep in a nice apartment. And I mean, it was hard work. Don't get me wrong. Like the first 3 weeks I was in Kuwait, I slept on the floor of a conference room because our houses weren't ready yet. But anyway, fast forward a few years, I'm in Kuwait, and Nope. It was like 2010. I was in Afghanistan, but I had gone through Kuwait on my way home for R&R, and I crossed paths with this guy. And he looked awful. Something was wrong with him. He was obviously ill. He was obviously out of his element because it was like 115 degrees in Kuwait at night. It was nighttime, it was the middle of the night, and he was not handling it like he had years before. The 14-hour flights, the 3 a.m. manifest, the heat, the exhaustion, the carrying all your gear. He was not handling it, and something was wrong with him. I don't know how. I know he lives in Utah, but I don't know where he is today. I don't know how he is today, but the last time I saw him, we crossed paths in Kuwait, and something was wrong with that man. Something was up. He was ill. He had shakes real bad. So, man, there's a lot of cars coming up on me, and I really don't want them thinking I'm videotaping them as they drive past me. So that's the story of the greatest hail and farewell of all time and the worst hail and farewell of all time, and a real jerkalope that I worked with at one time. And I'll be fine and dandy if I don't ever cross paths with him again. Hope you guys have enjoyed this beautiful sunrise as I drive along I-10 East heading towards Mandeville, Louisiana. Got somebody coming up on, I don't know why people speed up just to hang out in your blind spot. You see them just gaining on you, coming faster, and then they get in your blind spot and just hang out. That makes me absolutely nuts. So I hope you've enjoyed this beautiful sunrise. I hope you have a wonderful new year. I'm very excited for the new year. It's going to be awesome. Every day is going to be better than the day before. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.